I want to take some time and talk about the step called apply finish. So just keeping in mind here the cutting board, what do we do to finish the cutting board? We put cutting board oil on there. Cutting board oil. And why did we do that? Right? Why did we use cutting board oil? Because you have to protect the wood, otherwise it dries out and can crack. So what the cutting board oil did is it soaks into the grain of the wood, the pores of the wood, and kind of fills it up and keeps it moist, just like maybe a wet sponge would do. And this way, nothing goes into the grain of the wood. All right. However, the cutting board oil, because we're using it as a cutting board, the cutting board oil has to be non-toxic, right? You're putting food on there, so it's got to be something that's kind of natural. A lot of times people put mineral oil on the cutting board, but mineral oil or vegetable oil can rot. Okay, so it can soak into the grain of the wood and actually rot. So you got to be careful what kind of finish you put on. But so we applied that cutting board oil to the cutting board. The folding table, at the time we were just kind of rushing to get it done because we didn't know what the school year had in store for us. But if you're going to put a project outside, maybe like that table, or inside, you'd probably want to paint it. You want to seal it up and keep the water and sunlight away from it. And so the folding table, I would recommend putting some paint on. All right, very difficult to paint the project because it's got so many little spaces and things like that. But if we had to do it over again, we would paint that project. Now the shelf, what we did, we gave you the option of first staining the project. That just changes the appearance of it. But then what we did, we put that polyurethane on there. Hope I spelt it right. All right, so the polyurethane, and now for so what the polyurethane does, it makes like I call it like the hard candy coating on the outside. Okay, so it makes the project a little bit more durable, protects it from moisture and things like that. The jewelry box, we also want to put a nice finish on there. So let's go ahead and let's look at the jewelry box. So first of all, we work with polyurethane. I'm going to tell you for the jewelry box, we're going to put a lacquer finish on. So let's look at polyurethane versus the lacquer. So first of all, polyurethane is very hard and durable. So this kind of is the best. Okay, hardwood floors, right? Hardwood floors in your house, they get lots of traffic and they have to be very durable. They use polyurethane. They probably don't use lacquer. But what's nice about lacquer, it's very quick drying. Okay, so especially in our environment, I know that you put polyurethane on, and I'm going to say, first of all, it had a slight amber tint to it. The lacquer is crystal clear. Okay, they both come in they're available in multiple sheens. Okay, we can put gloss or semi-gloss or satin. So that's kind of the shininess of it. And I know students usually like gloss, so I buy gloss for both the polyurethane and the lacquer. We know that the polyurethane we applied with a brush. So there's problems when you apply with a brush. Sometimes you see brush strokes. Sometimes the little hairs on the brush fall off and get in on your project. What we're going to do with the lacquer is we're going to go ahead and we're going to spray it on. So a different method. With the polyurethane, it goes on thick and it takes 8 to 24 hours to dry. So when you're in a dusty, dirty environment like we're in, if you have a wet project and you leave it out and the dust settles on it, what happens, it doesn't feel super smooth. It's kind of bumpy. And so that's what happens with a lot of our projects here because we don't have the proper finishing area. So also I want to point out that when you put polyurethane on, you're really supposed to do a light coat, light sanding between coats so that the layers adhere to each other. With lacquer, it dries in like 5 to 10 minutes. So, and there is no sanding in between. Both are toxic. So both you would not want to apply to your cutting board, because it's not something yet that you should be ingesting into your body. I want to point out there was a smell associated with the polyurethane, but there's a really strong smell associated with the lacquer, and it takes a while for that smell to go away. Right, so just some differences here. What we're going to do is we're going to try the lacquer so you can see the difference and see which one you like the best. A lot of wood furniture is finished with lacquer because it's quick drying. Okay, so that means you could put it on quicker. You could potentially spray it and take it home the same day. So the reason lacquer is used a lot is not because it's the best, because it's very hard and durable. It's not. Polyurethane is, but it's quicker. It's quicker, and maybe you can get a better finish out of it. We'll see. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using spray lacquer. Comes in like just a regular spray can. And as soon as you finish the box, you can go ahead and you can spray the box down. And if we looked at the back here and read some of the directions on how to apply it, you're going to find out first that you have to shake the can for 2 minutes. Okay, so it's important. You got to shake this up, shake it, shake it, shake it, and then kind of sometimes during the actual spraying, you want to keep shaking it up. And then the next thing is, it says to hold the can 10 to 18 inches away from your project. So how big is that, right? So keep in mind our box. Sorry, I'm zoomed way up here. But our box was 8 inches wide and 11 inches long. So, 8 to 10 inches in a piece of paper, right? This is 11 inches right here. Okay, so that's how far you're supposed to hold this can away. So I kind of alluded to that maybe we can do a better finish, because on the polyurethane, sometimes people put it on pretty thick, and we had a bunch of runs. All right, the lacquer you're not going to put on very thick at all, and if you hold it 10 to 18 inches away and do a light coat, it shouldn't run on you. Now, what we can do is we can put a coat on. We can go ahead and we can put a coat on, and then another 5 or 10 minutes, you'll see that it's dry. We can go ahead and we can put a second coat on. So don't worry if it's not super shiny on the first application. We can go ahead and we can put a second, we can put a third, we can put a fourth, and it dries really quick, and so you could actually take it home that day. But like I said, it takes a while for the smell to go out of it. So you might want to leave it here in the classroom for a day or two to see if the smell kind of goes away. So that's just a little overview on our finishes, right? So here we're going to have exposure to lots of different things this year. All right, we kind of skipped the paint, but we'll see what we can do with that. So when we're talking about our your final project, we have some choices now on our different finishes. So good luck. Get any questions? Just ask.